Hello everyone, name's Master X101 and welcome back to my review of Junji Ito's Deserter. It's going to be quite fantastic. I actually had this one pre-written before I took a bit of a break, and so coming back, starting with it. The video that will come out on Wednesday will have like a bit of a explanation of why I stopped and my plans going forward and how I should try to not have those same complications, hopefully, but we'll see. It all comes with time and expertise. But the story we'll be talking about today is Where the Sandman Lives, and it's a quite interesting one with the concept of dreams and stuff like that. And so, spoiler warning moving in, if you would like to read the story, I would recommend reading it first before you watching this video, because I will be kind of, going over the general story and then giving my general purpose review of how it fits in as a horror manga, or more of more romantic, I guess. I don't know. Because this is where we begin the summary bit. I love it. So the story opens up with a haggard man, and his name is haggard looking man named Junji. I'm gonna make sure that that's accurate. I have that right here, Yeah, haggard looking man named Junji. After he finally gets to meet with his, I propose, girlfriend, or just friend as it's been stated later on in the book. They have a bit of a discussion where he talks about how he hasn't slept in 3 days, and he has this person in his dreams trying to get out, like the dream version of him trying to come out into the real world and take Yuji's place. But Mari there does not believe him at all. And this is where you also learn that he's a bit of a writer, and that he burns away the midnight oil, as they say. She says, is this like one of your stories you're planning on writing? Because if so, it sounds kind of interesting. Well, he eventually says, no, it's not a story. This is real. I need help. I need your help to help me stay awake longer. I've been awake for 3 days. I need to keep it going. And Mari looks at him and goes, you need to go to a doctor. To which he kinda goes, he doesn't even kinda, he just stands up immediately you're right, I need to go to a doctor. He immediately rushes off to a doctor, to which he doesn't actually rush off to a doctor. J'accuse, I gotcha. She stops him outside, and she's like, wait, don't actually go, I was just joking. And he goes, you're right, the surgeon wouldn't do anything for me anyway, and an internalist would probably push me aside, and I would end up at a shrink, and I know you don't want me to go to a shrink. Psychiatrist, basically. And she's like, well, what do you want me to do? And he was like, I need you to help me stay awake, as I said. So she goes grab some things from home, tells her parents that she's going to go staying with a friend named Keiko, to which she kind of then calls Keiko and goes, hey, I told my family I'm going on a trip with you, so make sure if they asked, that's what I'm actually doing. So from there, she arrives, but as she's walking there, she thinks a few thoughts, man, if this is one of his stories again, he really needs to get better material. She then approaches his flat, his apartment, and says this. She says, and I quote, the mansion of the tortured man of letters. And that's a very strange way of saying it. It's kind of like he's a starving writer, hasn't really got out there kind of thing yet. And so that's kind of where I feel like it's coming from, where she just kind of feels like this isn't an actual thing. She arrives, and he is looking worse. As soon as she comes in, she's like, okay, so what do I need to do? And he's like, hey, do you want a coffee? And she's like, sure, I'll take a coffee. And he was like, well, actually, no. She goes, I can make it myself. I can make us coffee if you want. And he was like, okay, good, make one for yourself then, because I don't need any more, I've had plenty already. Which she finally, sits down, they kind of talk a bit about it, and he's like, yeah, dreams, like he comes from the inside, I don't get it. And she then sits down with him, and then they hatch a plan. They're going to tape his hands together and his feet together to, make sure that whatever's inside doesn't get out. So they tape up his arms and tape up his legs. She sits there and she starts reading, and then she realizes, oh, he's already asleep. Okay, so I'm pretty sure this is nothing. Cuts his hands and feet loose. And then she sits there and reads a bit more, and then she falls asleep as well. And then she wakes up feeling a hand grab her leg, and she wakes up and sees a hand sticking out of his mouth, grabbing her leg. And she screams. It wakes Yuji up, grabs the arm and shoves it back inside, and he pulls most of his hand out, and he goes, hey, I need Mari, help me real quick. She pulls out the rest of his fingers, and she is amazed by this, because up until this point she did not believe a single bit of what he was saying. But due to this, now she understands that this is a very real thing. Seeing from there forward, it is kind of they try a bunch of different ideas from here. They think of different ideas, and they redo the tape thing because she tells them, hey, I cut it, and it did not work. They tried taping his mouth shut. He would pry open his mouth, so none of that really happened. Then at one point, she finally asked, how is this even possible? Like, it shouldn't even be possible. To which he explains, I felt empty inside, even way before my family passed away. And it adds that new layer of why does he feel empty, I guess is the best way of saying it. Obviously it's because his family passed away. That's the kind of feeling. And he was like, and it also explains why I've never had any internal issues. But Mari is still clinging on to the fact of this doesn't make any sense. That's not how people work. It's not an empty cavern where there's nothing inside and there's just your reversible sweater. He's like, well, basically I am the reversible sweater. That's how I work. And this is kind of the point where it actually sets in for Mari that it is purely it's hopeless. The cause is over. There's nothing really much, because eventually he'll either get sleep or he'll die, kind of thing. And from there, they keep trying. It's been 4 or 5 more days, and then Yuji looks at Mari and says, Mari, get your things, you can leave. Because I cannot go on any longer. I'm done. I'm tired. I cannot continue going. I'm just going to let him take over. You just never speak to me again. And she goes, well, why does he even want to come out in the first place? And he was like, well, to be fair, he wants you, and so do I. And in that moment, the little confession of love kind of thing, it kind of points out the general where the story goes from there. He goes to sleep, and as soon as he falls asleep, she grabs his hand and duct tapes her hand to his. And then the thing tries to get out. Her hand gets sucked up into the socket of where his was, kind of thing. And then it's a progression of a few panels of Mari being sucked into basically the dream world with Yuji. And then sometime later, it's not really explained much in the book, but the police show up because, Mari's been gone for a hot minute, and I'm assuming they talked to Keiko, which Keiko explained, oh no, she went to Yuji's instead, kind of thing. So the police arrive at Yuji's apartment, they go to unlock the door, and once they go to unlock it and realize it's unlocked, so they just walk in. They walk in and they see Yuji sitting by himself. What seems to be Yuji sitting by himself. And they walk up to him, and then they kind of ask them, like, hey, have you seen Mari? They look over and they notice her overnight bag, and it's like, hold up, is it alright if we check this? They go to open it up, and then he stands up, which his figure has been like this the whole time since this point forward. And they go to look in the bag, and he says it doesn't matter where you look or how hard you look, you'll never find her, she's gone. And that she's a part of my viscera now. And then how he explains that, my first thought was like, okay, so I understand why the police thought this the same thing. One of the guys runs up to him and grabs him and goes, did you eat her? Like, that's bad. Like, no brainer, it's bad. I mean, he understands. And he goes, no, she's in my dream world. And then that's where it cuts off. Like, that's the end of the story. Don't know if she's alive, don't know if she's dead, but she's gone. And part of me wonders, like, 3 different things. For one, what does, like, I wonder how, like, Keiko feels about this, like Mari's friend that she phoned up. I wonder how keeping that secret must have felt for her, because in theory, this version of Yuji probably will be pinned with some kind of murder, because her last known location was with Yuji. And unless, like, this version of Yuji just lies and says, like, yeah, she's somewhere, she ran off or something, that's the only way he kind of gets out of it. And I guess that leads me to this point. What does the dream world Yuji do from there? Because his whole goal was to get Mari, because I guess he'd grown to like her from kind of like the outside looking in kind of thing. Because, well, I mean, the inside looking out. It's kind of like, I guess, the assumption of, like, having a bug in a jar and then setting the jar outside to where it can see other bugs and stuff in it. I digress in that point to say, I guess, like, final thoughts, you know. Most of the time in stories, you never think of, like, the side characters you never hear of, because technically Mari has a family and they kind of wanted her found. It's curious how that would go from there, but, you know, that's neither here nor there. I guess we finally get to the point that I kind of don't like in reviews, because at the end of the day, my opinions don't really matter on, like, the overarching, whether or not you'll read something or not. But solid 8 of 10, my friend. I love it. I always love, like, I guess that's probably reason why my favorite Junji Ito work is Uzumaki, because it has kind of a romance thing, and I don't know how I'm going to do that one because it's so much. So I'm going to have to figure out how to do that one at some point. There's a smaller book that is just a singular story that I will do in the near future, though, and I'm excited for that one. But as I said, it's a good 8 out of 10. I would recommend anyone to read it. The reason why I like this in Uzumaki is because it kind of has, like, that bit of, like a bittersweet love thing that's like, ooh, spicy. You gotta love it. But 8 of 10 would recommend to anyone. And all of this to say, thank you for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed. If you didn't, you know, comment down below. If you did, comment down below. You know, like the video, subscribe, all that sweet jazz. My hair is being really, really unruly at the moment. But oh well. Like, comment, subscribe. I already said that. Whether you liked it, didn't like it, you know, Doesn't really matter at the end of the day, because at the end of the day, everyone's opinion is pointless, because it's not based on anything, I guess. Well, I mean, you can have an... I need to stop saying stuff, because opinions do matter, just not in if you should or shouldn't do something you already want to do, kind of thing, I guess, is the best way of saying it. Laws and stuff are not opinions, though. So keep that in mind as you move forward. I don't know where I was going with that, but I hope you enjoyed. Hope I see you for the next one. Maybe. Who knows? I think, if I'm correct, there was a short that was put out yesterday, and maybe a video. Either that, or this was on a Wednesday instead of a Monday, and I decided to do something different. If not Wednesday or Friday, there's a video in the future that will explain kind of why I stopped and me coming back. I'm positive I said this at the beginning of the video, but it has been a good few hours since I recorded this, and I have the memory of a goldfish. So, thank you for watching. See you in the next one. Bye.